Quiet on the set. Quiet, please. First positions, please. Rolling action.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another edition of Director's Cut. I'm here joined with Catherine again.
Hi, everyone.
Bill.
Hello.
Or William, a.k.a. Bill.
Bill's fine.
And John again.
Hey, guys.
And today we're going to talk about this awesome movie that I actually recently watched. I hadn't seen it before. Fight Club.
Famous Fight Club. It was like a huge hit in the States.
I didn't know what to expect. I thought it was going to be like a kickboxing movie or something
Based
like that.
on a book.
Really?
Chuck Palahniuk.
Yeah.
Palahniuk, that's how you pronounce that. I always wondered. It's a really difficult last name.
It is a very weird looking last name.
But it's a good movie.
It was an awesome movie. I didn't. We're not going to spoil it for you if you haven't seen it, but it has a lot of different angles, and you really have to pay attention to it from start to end because it gets really weird.
You might even have to watch it twice. Which is what most people I've ever talked to have done.
Those are the best movies.
Those
The
are
ones
the
you have to
Like The
watch
Sixth
twice.
Sense.
Sixth Sense. I didn't watch it
I didn't watch
twice,
that one twice either.
You don't really need to.
but it was good.
You notice a lot more, though, on the second time.
Yeah. So
Thanks, John.
I'm with you, Catherine.
So Fight Club stars Brad Pitt and Edward Norton as the protagonists of this film.
And the antagonists.
And the antagonist.
Yes.
Two awesome actors.
Two awesome actors.
Really
Edward
awesome.
Norton is a very good actor. He does seem a little bit, I don't know how he'd say,
Creepy.
delicate. He's got a very delicate voice.
Unless he was the Hulk when he was
Maybe
pretty...
he's just acting.
This is why it surprised me that they chose him for the Hulk. He was like too delicate for the Hulk.
But no, he's perfect because he's a little scientist.
Have
who,
you seen
like...
American History X?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
He's pretty
really
macho
scary in that
one.
movie.
Yeah, true.
But then in the end, he kind of softens up a bit too. I do see his soft side. It's very apparent.
And Brad Pitt also acts as a kind of out of control, kind of weirdo as well, which actually he did a good job in 12 Monkeys.
12 Monkeys.
12 Monkeys.
He's really good being the out of control character.
Yeah.
like
he's good at that.
Like what was the Guy Ritchie film where he was an Irish gypsy?
Snatch.
Snatch.
Right?
Two very good actors. So, and the movie, basically, as the name says, Fight Club, they form this type of club, underground, a very closed club where people go and just fight each other.
What's
Not for
the goal?
money,
No?
not for, you don't pay to get into this club. They just go and fight. So this is one of the main controversies or the main topics of discussion is what did the Fight Club actually represent? Why did these people go in there and just fight? You know, they're regular people, waiters, doctors, police officers, whatever. Why are they fighting for nothing?
Well, I think the movie gives you some of those answers. It points out all the problems with modern society, right? Mm-hmm. All the things that frustrate people, all the ways that people go crazy in our modern world, and the ways that people don't connect. Mm-hmm. Like maybe they want to or they wish they could, and they need a violent way to let out that frustration.
Interesting. It is true that, for example, in modern America now, interpersonal relationships have been reduced. Now people just email or even chat the person across their desk, right?
Or they don't talk at all because they live in immense cities and they don't have many friends. And so, Edward Norton's character is absolutely an example of this. Someone who is socially isolated in a big city. It's ironic, but I think it's really common.
Right. So Edward Norton's character, he is he works for a big car company, analyzing risks, right, for cars that may or may not have problems, and if they do, they might have to be recalled depending on if it's viable or not, right?
Financially viable.
Financially viable. So his character is he has a routine. He's traveling all the time. He's living out of a suitcase. And he's very bored with his life, right? Mm-hmm. Whereas Brad Pitt's character is more outgoing. He's kind of crazy, kind of wild. Spontaneous.
Almost the exact opposite.
The exact opposite. Yeah. And they meet by chance on an airplane. Mm-hmm. And that's where the story kicks off, right? And together they form the Fight Club.
And they kind of become friends. They start using each other for...
Very special relationship.
Yeah, support company. But they're not like buddy. Like... Yeah, a large part of the focus of the movie is this Fight Club that keeps growing and growing and growing.
So there's a very famous scene, and the most famous, probably one of the most famous quotes from the Fight Club is the part where they explain the rules, because they have rules in Fight Club. So why don't we listen to a short clip of this now?
Every week, Tyler gave the rules that he and I decided.
Gentlemen, welcome to Fight Club. The first rule of Fight Club is you do not talk about Fight Club. The second rule of Fight Club is you do not talk about Fight Club. Third rule of Fight Club, someone yells stop, goes limp, taps out. The fight is over. Fourth rule, only 2 guys to a fight. Fifth rule, 1 fight at a time, fellas. Sixth rule, no shirts, no shoes. Seventh rule, fights will go on as long as they have to. And the 8th and final rule, if this is your first night at Fight Club, you have
All right, we're back. So now the rules of the Fight Club. You never talk about the Fight Club. We're breaking rule number 1 and 2 as we speak. But it was interesting that it kept growing, and supposedly you're not allowed to talk about it, and still more and more people were going there, right?
Right.
So why do you think people were hitting each other, or like just beating the crap out of each other?
Well, I don't know. I think John had a good point there. Like, people maybe feel really isolated from each other. So this is like the one way they can really connect with each other. You're connecting with somebody that, not using words, but you're physically, manhandling somebody and punching them, and you're creating a connection there somehow.
Do you think this really could happen in real life? If we were to form a fight club, we would have a lot of frustrated people,
People do
depressed
it.
people.
There's a trend in Poland, actually, with these guys who are really, really into football, soccer. And they go to these games, and they're D3 games. They're not really important on a national scale. And the only reason they go, really, they don't even watch the game, is to just fight, to beat the
Fight
crap
each
out of
other.
each other. And then they take it off the sidelines, and they actually take it into the woods, and they just beat each other.
And then they're
it's-
friends afterwards.
Some of them, yeah. I
And
think
then they
there's
go get a beer afterwards. Wow.
no, but it's kind of a problem because it's kind of spilling over into other parts of society because, violence begets violence, right? The more
Right.
you do it, the more angry and physical you want to be.
Do you think we are a violent society by nature? Like, do you think we enjoy violence? It's part of our gene.
So not necessarily society, but like beings.
Yeah.
Well,
Because, like, for example, we have so many gruesome sports, and it's like if you go back to, for example, the Roman times, you had the gladiators, right? And people would attend and cheer for the lion, or to eat the gladiator, or for them to kill each other and die. Now, we don't have sports like that now anymore, but you do have ultimate fighting, you have boxing matches, you have people who organize underground dog fights and cockfights.
And you have people stopping to look when there's a car accident. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's why traffic forms, right? It's not because the accident is actually blocking a large part of the road. It's because people are driving by really slowly to take a look at the car accident.
Yep.
So it is one of those things, I guess, that we can't avoid.
although some people would argue that this is a way for people to also get in touch with their own mortality because we're all mortal, right? So you're looking at it, you're kind of being exposed to it, you're thinking about it. It's kind of a loop.
But like, for example, have you ever taken a look at your 6 o'clock news, or in the States, or 11 o'clock news? It's like 85% of it is all murder, somebody was robbed, somebody was murdered,
chase.
somebody they had a car chase. It's all like violent related news. It's not like anything, and the other 15% is international news or the president or something, but it's mostly all violent stuff, especially Fox.
It intrigues. I think it intrigues people. It intrigues me. I mean, I think we definitely all have an animal side to ourselves. Maybe men do more. Maybe, possibly. Catherine, do you? I mean, when I'm on my bike, right, in China here, and I get cut off, I really do feel like hitting somebody sometimes.
Have you seen Catherine on her bike?
Catherine suffers from road rage on her bike.
I've never acted on a feeling, okay?
Okay.
Never acted except when that woman hit me and
You told her
But
off.
the feeling is there, And
No, definitely. But, people are also territorial, and there's some things that are just whatever that you just can't control. But it's the way that you act afterwards that I think is important.
So I guess this is one of the things that the film treats, right? It's kind of this human nature and how people interact with each other, and how they, as John mentioned, the outlet that they have is just like this underground violent way of just letting go.
or being in control. You see a guy who's not really in control, who has kind of a crap job, who wants to feel power in some way, and one way of doing that is through physical violence. You have power over another human being.
So as the movie progresses, it gets a lot more interesting because it goes beyond the Fight Club, right? And they start forming some type of army to do a little bit of mischief around the city or to prove a point more, right?
Or anarchy. Their goal is complete anarchy. They want to destroy civilized culture.
And, well, we're not going to spoil the end, but it gets really, really good towards the end. So do you think, last question, do you think that anarchy is actually a viable possibility in society? Do you think it could work?
No.
What do you think, John?
No.
No? Bill?
I've seen it on the streets here in Shanghai occasionally, and it doesn't seem to work.
Well, there is a little bit of order and chaos, right, on the streets.
Yeah, but people need to be in groups. We're born into a family. A family is part of a larger group, which is a part of a larger group. And even if we don't have the state on top, which, is one kind of anarchy, I don't think that we should abandon all groups on the bottom.
Yeah, or abandon all order,
Yeah, exactly.
Anarchy can exist, but only briefly.
Yeah.
Briefly, what do you mean? If it does exist, then we just destroy each other?
No, someone will take power.
Someone will
will.
step into the vacuum of power.
Yeah.
All right. Now, John, you mentioned that there were some philosophical points in the movie. Do you care to enlighten us with one of them?
Oh, it's just about, anarchy and nihilism and what does modern society do to people, right? Because, we talked about the different aspects of human nature. And then look at how Edward Norton's character fits into that. Like in the beginning, we see how he buys all his stuff through catalogs. He's always on a plane. His job is related to insurance. So look at how that deals with all. So look at what that does to all of his human interactions.
Right.
And then in the end, he just ends up just beating on people. That's how he relates to people. Right?
True. How many of you actually own IKEA furniture or have bought furniture at IKEA?
Never furniture, only a lamp
Lamp.
and some kitchen stuff.
I have a few things.
I have bought a chair from IKEA.
It's very strange, right? I actually, I am
Not
proud
not
to
not
say,
over the catalog though. I went to the
Oh,
store.
you went to the store,
I
got it.
dealt with a human being. I had some human interaction. That was all I did for the week. But
I
think that
have
counts.
never bought anything at IKEA. I don't know why.
Have you
though.
been to an IKEA?
I have not.
The
Wow.
Shanghai one's really special. There was an article about it in an American magazine.
I heard that people
Yeah.
go there not to shop, but actually to like.
Use the furniture.
Use the furniture,
enjoy the
sleep.
air conditioning.
And to buy cheap hot dogs.
I've heard
They have
about.
really cheap hot dogs.
I've heard about the hot dogs and the meatballs.
And the Swedish
Ooh.
meatballs are delicious there.
So this is I can see how you guys fit in the movie as well in this pattern of
Maybe that's why I have all these violent urges all the time. It's like, get
identify.
my furniture
it's like
from
Catherine
IKEA.
has road rage on her bike.
on
We
the way
all
to
do.
IKEA.
Okay, I'm just admitting it.
The road is our own fight club.
As long as you don't act on it, I think you're right about that, Catherine.
All right, so okay, time to grade the movie. What would you give it, Bill?
I would give it a solid B+.
B plus.
Yeah.
All right. Interesting. Any criticism toward it? Was it lacking something?
I don't know. I'm not the biggest Brad Pitt fan, I think,
Ah.
when it comes down to it. Like, I don't know. It's hard to explain. There's something. Maybe I need to give it another watch.
Maybe
this
Tom
is,
Hanks should have been Brad
Yeah,
Pitt's
that
role.
would have been much better.
What?
I think this is, like we mentioned earlier, this is a movie you need to watch a few times.
Right.
I only watched it. I've watched it in bits and pieces, so maybe I'm not getting the whole
Bill,
thing.
don't blame the movie for your own failings.
Yeah.
That's its fault.
All right, Catherine. What would you give it?
I think I'd give it an A- because there's a bit of meandering towards the middle where you're not really sure what the plot's doing, but by the end of the movie, it's excellent. So
Okay.
yeah, A-.
A minus. All right, John.
I'll give it an A.
A minus, A plus, or just A?
No, I just really enjoyed it.
Really? No criticism toward it?
And I watched it again. I enjoyed it again. I haven't seen it recently, but nothing comes to mind, which is another reason I give it an A.
All right. So the characters were pretty good, right? The actors, apart from Brad Pitt that you didn't like, Edward Norton, great
That's
actor.
another thing. I like Brad Pitt and I like Edward Norton.
Yeah.
Except in Troy, I didn't really like Brad Pitt in Troy.
Never saw it.
I think it's just his maybe it's just his reputation precedes him.
Speaking
a
of
little
meandering.
bit. When I just
In what
think
way?
of Brad Pitt, I don't know. There's just something that's enjoyable
Legends of the Fall.
about not liking Brad Pitt.
Legends
Maybe
of
just being a contrarian in this aspect, but I don't know.
I think he just
I haven't been all that impressed with
I
most
treat
of his
Tom
work.
Cruise in that way.
Tom
yeah, I'm with
Cruise.
you. Tom Cruise, I can't stand. Brad Pitt, I really like. I think he's done really amazing stuff too for New Orleans.
Stand Tom Cruise.
See, that's the thing. It's not very consistent though. He does amazing stuff, but then he also does some pretty mediocre, middle of the road.
Are you
type of
angry
stuff.
at him about the Jennifer Aniston thing? Is that what this is about?
I'm secretly actually really in love with Brad Pitt. That's what I'm saying.
Are you jealous of his good looks?
I'm jealous of his sideburns. I'll say that.
All right, so that's all for today. It's a great movie. Do you recommend to watch it?
I think an
Yes.
A is the recommendation.
All right, it's because you guys.
Only
All right.
A pluses.
So
is
it's a great movie. We recommend you watch it. It is a little bit gruesome at times, also, but worth watching. And we'll be back next time with another great movie here on Director's Cut. So that's all for today.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Yeah.